It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Wise guys, 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 wise guys. These guys know sports. Yeah. These guys know sports. These guys know.
And welcome to Wise Guys. These guys know sports. Live here on the Worldwide Sports Network on this Friday, September the 18th. Another day on the Wise Guys show with my co-host, Mr. Clarence Nixon. What's up, Clarence? Happy Friday.
Man, hey, it's chilly outside today, man. I think that's that fall weather coming in, Trey. But I'm doing good.
Definitely is, man. I see you got your Nike hoodie on. You are ready for the fall, man. Hey, you can't go wrong with the Nike hoodies, man. You got to get them in every color. You got to have the gray, the black, the red, the blue.
Oh, hold on. But Wise Guys merchandise coming soon, man. It's coming soon. Like you said, with the colors, we go kill them with the hoodies, man. Merchandise coming soon.
Certainly, for sure. Everybody, remember, go and follow Wise Guys on Twitter at WiseGuys_H. Also on Facebook, Wise Guys. And be sure to follow Wise Guys on Instagram with These Guys Know Sports. Clarence, before we get into our sports topics today, what's your Friday treat you like, bro? Like, how's your Friday coming along, besides you being kind of cold and trying to adjust to this fall weather?
My Friday been treating me well, though. You know, I've just been resting. And then I got the news, man. Giannis won his second MVP. So I was excited, but then I'm not because he at home, unfortunately. But this Friday has been having a mellow mood for me, though. You know what I'm saying? But I've been maintaining. How your Friday been treating you?
Pretty good. I'm excited for the weekend. I'm excited for my sports. I'm going to watch this weekend some college football tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to have game 3 between the Celtics and the Miami Heat, which we're going to talk about game 2 here in a bit and recap that game. Also later on the show, we're going to give y'all our Western Conference Finals predictions for tonight at 9 p.m. The Lakers and the Nuggets will tip off in the Western Conference Finals. So we're going to break that game down and give you our predictions. Also later on the show, we will give you our week 2 Wise picks for the NFL. So we're excited about that. But Clarence, we begin the show tonight with the Battle of Ohio between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cleveland Browns. Everyone, if you don't know by now, my co-host, Mr. Clarence Nixon, is a diehard Cincinnati Bengals fan. I am not. I love Cincinnati. I'm from the city, but I am a Packer fan. Everybody that knows me knows it. So let's talk about that Battle of Ohio, Clarence, as the Cleveland Browns beat your Cincinnati Bengals last night on Thursday Night Football, 35-30. Baker Mayfield, he went 16 of 23. He had 216 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Nick Chubb had 22 carries for 124 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. Joe Burrow, he went 37 of 61, threw for 316 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. Joe Mixon only had 45 rushing yards. So, Clarence, as we open up the show today and we talk about the Battle of Ohio, what was your biggest takeaway from this game?
I think the biggest takeaway from this game was the Cincinnati Bengals. They made Joe Burrow throw 61 times. You know, that was like something that wasn't nothing Bengals like. That wasn't something that they will rely on or will be the go-to plan. But what I've seen from Joe Burrow, he just showed us that if y'all want me to do this, I will. And I will try my best to lead this team to a victory. But at the same time, the offensive line is something that's holding them back. And I think the biggest takeaway from here, as well as the Cleveland Browns, they did a solid job last night. You know, they played to their strength. They ran the ball, which really well, and the play action was killing Cincinnati. Like it was devastating. They couldn't defend the play action. OBJ and Baker Mayfield, I can finally say that they was on the same track yesterday. Like regardless, he had 4 catches, 74 yards. They was on the same page yesterday, and they looked very good out there. You know, catching the passes, and the thing in this game was this game was for the Cleveland Browns. Like, they have to win this game in order, to start their playoff push. But it's some holes in that game. It's a holes in that team that definitely need some construction in. But I think the biggest takeaway is Baker got the most important stat than Burrow is the W.
Yes, I agree with you completely. My biggest takeaway from the game was the fact that Kevin Stefanski, he set Baker up to be successful in last night's matchup, Clarence. I felt like in the first game against the Baltimore Ravens, he set Baker up to fail. He had Baker drop back to pass 39 times, and that is a recipe for disaster if you're the Cleveland Browns. But last night, Stefanski did a great job because he only had Baker drop back 23 times, and the Cleveland Browns rely on the running game. Nick Chubb had a great game, 22 carries, 124 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. He had a major impact on the game. Also, Kareem Hunt, I think he had like 10 carries for 86 rushing yards. So the Cleveland Browns did a great job at running the football and putting Baker in positions to be successful. And I think that needs to be a recipe for the Browns the rest of the season if they want to continue to win football games and possibly position themselves to get to the playoffs, Clarence. You cannot rely on Baker to drop back to pass the football 39, 45 times a game. That won't work for the Cleveland Browns. The second takeaway that I had in this matchup was the Bengals are really, really missing Mike Daniels and Geno Atkins right now because the Browns had their way as far as being able to run the football, and they had 215 rushing yards overall. So I think the Bengals missing Geno Atkins and Mike Daniels in a game of this magnitude, it showed that why they really need those two players to help them be effective at stopping the run. If the Bengals want to have any chance of competing in football games this year, you have to stop the run. And they came up short in doing that last night. My third overall takeaway was how they got Odell Beckham the football early in this game. He only had 4 receptions for 74 receiving yards, but he had that 1 touchdown, so that gave him some confidence, and that made him want to play at a high level the rest of the game because he was involved in the offense. I told you before, I felt like the Browns, they don't do a good job of getting Odell in positions to be successful and create, plays in open space. Like, I felt like that rollout that Baker had and that touchdown pass that he had to Odell Beckham was a thing of beauty. And I think Kevin Stefanski needs to do more of that for the Browns to be successful. So those are my main takeaways. The Bengals not being able to stop the run. Also Baker Mayfield being put in a position to be successful by his head coach, Kevin Stefanski, and Odell Beckham being involved in the game plan early and often. And one more thing I want to say, Clarence, about this game. Ladies and gentlemen, the Cincinnati Bengals have found themselves a quarterback. I'm going to say it right now on Wise Guys on the Worldwide Sports Network. The Cincinnati Bengals have found themselves a quarterback in Joe Burrow. Because last night, I was impressed with Joe Burrow's performance last night, Clarence. What he 37 of 61, 316 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. He threw 61 times. That means Zach Taylor put the game in his hands to win the game, and he only came up short by 5 points. The Bengals had a chance to win that game last night, and that was because of their quarterback, Joe Burrow. So I got to give a lot of credit to Joe Burrow, and I want to say tonight on Wise Guys that they have found their man. I had questions about Joe Burrow being the number 1 overall pick. He was the Heisman Trophy winner last season at the collegiate level. He had 60 passing touchdowns, I believe, for LSU in the regular season. And I had my questions about Joe Burrow because I felt like he had all these weapons that he was throwing the ball to at LSU, Clarence, and Jahmyr Chase and Justin Jefferson and Clyde Edwards. Now at the NFL level, he's had 2 games, and he's given us evidence and showed us he can play the quarterback position. He had no running game to depend on last night. Joe Mixon, what did he only have last night? 16 carries for 45 yards? That isn't going to get it done. So I can only imagine what Joe Burrow would do if Joe Mixon has it going and he's giving him an effective running game, because that's going to open up the passing game for the Bengals on the perimeter. So I got to give a lot of credit to Joe Burrow, and I don't think he's going to be a Hall of Famer like you think, because you're ready to induct him into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I'm not ready to do that just yet, but I will say Joe Burrow did prove to be a quality starter in the NFL, and he's going to only get better as the season goes along.
I'm just saying, once he win a playoff game, he has my vote for being inducted in the Hall of Fame, regardless, because he broke the spell, he broke the curse, and he gave me a win in my younger years. But you can't forget, he had the Bengals had 30 first downs, and he converted 5 of 5 on fourth downs. And
Yes.
four out of them fourth downs came from Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd, that was his reliable target. And let me tell you this, though. I'm not impressed for AJ Green. I'm not, Trey. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not disappointed, but I'm like, God, he been off for like two years, and it's like, wow, he's working off the rust because he had like 3 catches out of 13 targets. Something right there. That's not AJ Green. And some of them passes, like it was some of the passes that Burrow threw behind AJ Green, but we seen AJ Green catch numerous of passes that was behind him or over him or too much in front of him. And that right there, that needs to change. And another thing, the Bengals, they have to run the football. I was disappointed too when they ran a zone run on first and goal at the 1 yard line. I'm like, why are you not pounding it in? Where's the fullback? Where's the fullback lining up behind the quarterback that's leading the running back? Like that right there, that's something they have to fix. Definitely have to fix. And unfortunately, CJ Uzomah, he's out for the season with a torn Achilles. That bummers a lot. But Drew Sample came in a nice, fine job and a serviceable job, actually, with 7 catches and 45 yards. So he did a thing. I think he has a future with the Bengals if he keep progressing in the right direction. But the most important thing that the Bengals, they have to change over the course of the season is the play calling. The play calling hurts. If the play call is not right, it can shift the momentum. Now, I am keeping notes on the Philadelphia Eagles. We play them next week. And they play the Rams. And I'm trying to figure out, is Geno and Mike Daniels is coming back? I'm going to talk to them later on this weekend. Ask them, is they going to be ready? They getting a whole 9-day rest off, Trey. So
Yeah.
we just want to see how it is. It's going to be a long season. And I'm unfortunately got to hear this from you, too.
And the thing is, though, when it comes to Joe Burrow, even in the first game of the season against the Chargers defense that is a pretty good defense, and they have an elite secondary. Joe Burrow, I think he had 23 of 36 passing. He had 194 passing yards last week. He did have one bad interception in the fourth quarter, but he led the Bengals down on that last drive and put them in a position to at least tie the game and send it to overtime. In this matchup, given the circumstances, again, he didn't have a preseason. This was a very unordinary off season. So he didn't have a preseason to get reps or, work on chemistry with Bengals receivers. This is all new to Joe Burrow. And I thought he played great last night. Again, 37 of 61, like most veteran quarterbacks, if they drop back to pass like 60 times a game, majority of those times, the quarterback is going to throw at least 1 or 2 interceptions and they're going to turn the ball over. Like all night, they were down on the scoreboard, Clarence, and Joe Burrow, he didn't seem flustered. He seemed relaxed, and he seemed very, very poised. That's the word that I look at when I look at Joe Burrow. Like, I look at him as being very poised. Like, he's calm. He doesn't seem like he gets flustered. He doesn't seem like he gets rattled. He's always calm. And to have the Bengals in a position to steal a game on the road in an AFC North battle with the Battle of Ohio on the line was very impressive. I can't say enough about the job that Joe Burrow did. But again, I'm not ready to induct him into the Pro Football Hall of Fame like you are, but I will admit that he has shown me that he can play the quarterback position. And the thing is, the Bengals got to put some pieces around him and protect him because their offensive line is terrible. And, he can't be effective if he's always on his back. Like, that's one of the main issues that I have with this Bengals team. They have to do a better job of protecting their investment, and that's Joe Burrow. They had 3 sacks in this game, so they got to do a better job of protecting Joe Burrow. But overall, I think watching this game, one of my other takeaways was, even though Baker Mayfield had a pretty decent game and he had over 200 passing yards, Joe Burrow got outplayed. Baker Mayfield, he got outplayed by Joe Burrow. I thought, after I watched this game, I'm like, well, Baker Mayfield probably is the 4th best quarterback in the AFC North. Like I gotta say it, and that's crazy because I thought Baker Mayfield had a pretty good night. Wouldn't you? Like I thought Baker Mayfield played pretty good last night.
He had a good night. He had a good night, and for Baker, I think that him and Kevin Stefanski, they got to keep working on during the season. They have to find ways to find something to like make to their bigger strength. But as I see it, it's the run game. But I wanted to catch back with Burrow. Burrow, like when I was watching the game last night, and don't call me crazy. Don't call me crazy. But he gave me Aaron Rodgers vibes. Just the way, you know how Aaron Rodgers, like, look, we
don't
know
do
how,
that, Clarence.
Listen,
Don't do that. Stop.
Listen. We know how great Aaron Rodgers is in 2 minutes, under 2 minutes. He doesn't get sacked. He get the ball out of his hand, and they're moving downfield. And with Burrow, I feel like he got that style from Rodgers. Like, you know, okay, you have to hurry up, spread out the receivers, and all the receivers is doing is ins and outs. And I used to watch Aaron Rodgers all the time. All his receivers ran out plays and in plays. Like something that's quick so he get the ball out of his hand. And I just think that was very impressive. And believe it or not, we play the Green Bay Packers next season. And that right there, my friend, is going to be exciting and epic.
Definitely, man. Last question before we move on to our next topic.
Right.
Can Cleveland make a playoff push this season?
I think when I look at the Cleveland Browns schedule, though, it's very tough because listen to these next 5 games. At home with Washington, at Dallas, at home with the Colts, on the road, got 2 road games with the Steelers and the Bengals. I think those games, if they can win 3 out of the 5 games, they can make some noise that's coming. And believe it or not, they can mess up the AFC North. They can mess up the race because people believe it or not, even you saying it, people saying that Pittsburgh and Baltimore, they basically the top 2 teams in there. But if Cleveland start winning right now, like win their next 3 out of the 5 games, or maybe 4, they can actually make some noise. And out of that 5 games, they're on the road in Pittsburgh. And believe it or not, they split. They split it last year, and it's gonna be a very emotional game because Myles Garrett did that necessary stuff with Mason Rudolph. I think that's gonna be a momentum shift too. That can play a part as well. But if they can win the next couple of weeks, they can be in the driver's seat.
The game that you just named, the only lock that I think they're going to have, like for sure win, is against the Washington football team, and even that's questionable because you know the Cleveland Browns are very inconsistent. Baker Mayfield is very inconsistent. You know, we don't know what's going to happen. The only for sure win I would say is the Cleveland Browns, but the rest of those games, I wouldn't favor the Cleveland Browns in. I wouldn't favor the Cleveland Browns going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I wouldn't favor the Cleveland Browns going up against the Dallas Cowboys. You know, like I wouldn't favor the Cleveland Browns even coming to Cincinnati to play your Bengals. This game was a close game throughout. The Browns didn't just run. The Colts game is iffy. Well, I probably would favor the Colts. Is it played in Cleveland or is it played in Indy?
It's in Cleveland.
It's probably a pick 'em for me, honestly. It could go either way. But what I think is out of all those games you named, the only lock is the Washington football team. Other games, you know, I think they could really end up losing. So for me, can the Cleveland Browns make a playoff push this season? I got to see more consistent quality quarterback play from Baker Mayfield before I can say the Cleveland Browns will make a playoff push because Baker Mayfield has been so inconsistent and he always likes to talk to the media and trash talk opponents. Like, I want to see Baker be more humble and start learning from when he does have good performances, how to take that type of performance and carry it on to the next week. Like, I want to see him do that and be more consistent. Then I'll be able to give a definitive answer as to whether or not they can make a playoff push. But as long as Baker Mayfield is being inconsistent, I don't think the Cleveland Browns can make a playoff push. I just don't see it happening because I think in that division, real quick, I think the top 2 teams are the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens. And I think, you know, after watching the Pittsburgh Steelers on Monday night, Big Ben is back and he is going to make a push for being the NFL Comeback Player of the Year. Therefore, I believe the Pittsburgh Steelers will make the playoffs, and I think the Baltimore Ravens will obviously win the division. So I think Cleveland Browns at the end of the season will be on the outside looking in.
Yeah, I think I think for the Pittsburgh Steelers, though, they're right there. They're a top contender. You can't deny their talent on that defense. And Big Ben is back. He looks like he on his way to his 2018 form. His 2018 form was tremendous. So I think it's going to be interesting to watch him play throughout the season. And they have a little tricky schedule as well that we will get into shortly in the week of the show, though.
For sure. What's our next topic? Go ahead, lead it off. Let's go.
All right. Now we talking some basketball. Oh my God. We going to the Eastern Conference Finals, game 2 of the game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals. The Miami Heat, they defeated the Boston Celtics 106 to 106. Was it 106 to 101? And I think Goran Dragic, he had 27 points. Jimmy Butler with 22 points, and Duncan Robinson with 18 points, following by Jason Tatum. He had 25 points, Kemba Walker with 19, and Jaylen Brown 21. I think if my number is correct. But real quick though, Trey, I want to ask you this. Miami lead the series 2-0, and what's your biggest takeaway from this series?
Well, my biggest takeaway in this series, after watching game 2, was the Boston Celtics. They got completely outplayed, Clarence, in the third quarter. And the Miami Heat dominated the third quarter, and their defense really, really intensified as the game went along. I'm going to give you the statistic, that won this game for the Miami Heat, and it was simply just points in the paint. The Boston Celtics in game 2, in the first half, they had 32 points in the paint. In the second half, they had 14. They shot 16 of 24, of shots in the paint in the first half, and they went 7 of 13 in the second half. They shot 67% points in the paint in the first half, and they shot 54% in the second half. And basically, that point differential is a plus 14 in the first half and a minus 12 in the second half. Overall, I felt like the Miami Heat, they intensified their defense, and defensively, they really amped it up in that second half. And Bam Adebayo had it going in that third quarter. He looked like the second coming of Hakeem Olajuwon, Clarence, the way he was balling out against the Boston Celtics and having dunk after dunk. Yes, in the third quarter, he was dominating the game. That's what got the Miami Heat back into the game. It was Bam scoring in the paint. The Boston Celtics' interior defense was non-existent in the third quarter. This is where the Miami Heat got back into the game. Because if you remember, in the first half, the Boston Celtics had it going. They had a double-digit lead in the first half. I picked the Boston Celtics to get to the NBA Finals. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm thinking, they're going to even up this series, and this is going to be an interesting series the rest of the way. But in the second half, the Miami Heat turned their defense up a notch, and the Boston Celtics wanted no parts of the Miami Heat. And Eric Spoelstra made a key adjustment in that second half. He put in a zone, and the Boston Celtics could not score. They struggled to score in the third quarter. Eric Spoelstra is the best coach we have left in the bubble, okay? Because he implemented a zone, and the Boston Celtics had no answer for it. And he's outcoached Brad Stevens. He's outcoached Brad Stevens so far in this series. And I don't know if you heard, but after the game, Clarence, in the locker room, Marcus Smart, he was, heard yelling and screaming. Yeah, Marcus Smart was pretty ticked off at the end of this game. And there were reports that Marcus Smart got into it with Jaylen Brown. And Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart was upset because someone called him out for an ill-advised three-point shot that he took. And he wasn't too happy about them calling him out about taking that shot. And Jaylen Brown said, well, wait a minute, bro, we're a team. What's going on here? But I'm not going to make nothing big of that. I think that's just, the playoffs intensity. And I think that's just players that want to win. They take it very serious. But, the energy that they took after the game, arguing, they need to be taking that energy out on the Miami Heat, because the Miami Heat, they are playing better in the fourth quarters as well so far in this Eastern Conference Finals, Clarence. The Miami Heat, offensively, they are executing better at a higher rate than the Boston Celtics are. I think the Boston Celtics have the more talented team, but the Miami Heat have the more well-rounded team, and they have the better coached basketball team overall Eric Spoelstra, so far in his career, when he goes up 2-0 in a playoff series, he has won every single time. He's won up 2-0 10 times in his career. He's won every single time he's been up 2-0. The Boston Celtics are in trouble.
Man, I was watching that game, and I watched the whole game, and I watched the highlights over and over just to see, was I missing something? And the thing for the Miami Heat, like, they was down. They was down at the halftime. They had a slow start. They wasn't making enough shots. Boston got off to a fast start. Boston was hitting key shots. And believe it or not, I seen a key, I don't know what three they talking about from Marcus Smart. Remember when he got hit on the three, I thought it was a foul right there, but they didn't call a foul. So I'm trying to understand what was the problem from it. But I think like in the halftime, the Miami Heat, when they turned it up on the defense, they woke up. Jay Crowder started hitting threes. Bam Adebayo, yeah, he was dunking everything that came his way. And Goran Dragic, that's a player that nobody haven't been mentioning. But Goran Dragic has been amazing, Trey. And this is leading to our next question too. And I'm gonna tell you how impressed I am with him. He balanced out this team. He gives them the veteran leadership role on the team that they need. And he played a good point guard position. And he's a very savvy lefty. Man, this guy right here is just talented. He just kept his team well balanced, kept them all together. When they needed a three, he gave them a three. But I want to ask you, how impressive you have been with Goran Dragic though in this Eastern Conference Final?
I've been very impressed with Goran Dragic, and I believe he is the player that gets the Miami Heat in positions to be successful. I believe this team would not be where they are if it wasn't for Goran Dragic. Last night, he had 25 points, shot 10 of 19 from the floor, 3 of 7 from three-point range. Late in that game, he hit some key shots for the Miami Heat. I think Goran Dragic right now is the most is unsung on that team. Like he's really doing a great job at leading this basketball team. And I think he sets everyone up to be successful. I believe Jimmy Butler is the best player on this Miami Heat team. I think Duncan Robinson, obviously, and Tyler Hero are the shooters on this squad. But I believe Goran Dragic is the player that sets everyone up, and he's the playmaker of this team overall. And I believe so far in this series, he's been outplaying Kemba Walker. But Kemba Walker, he didn't have a bad game. I think he had 23 points, himself. He didn't play necessarily bad, in this matchup.
He missed a few shots.
He went 19. He went 19 of 19 from the floor, so he shot the ball pretty well. But late in the game, he couldn't, hit no shots. But the bottom line in this matchup, Clarence, the game was lost by the Boston Celtics in the third quarter. In the third quarter, the Boston Celtics got outscored by the Miami Heat 37-17. Okay, 37-17. The Miami Heat outscored them in the third quarter, and they completely dominated that third quarter. And the Boston Celtics were careless with the basketball. They had 7 turnovers in the third quarter alone. When Eric Spoelstra threw that zone in the fold, the Boston Celtics and Brad Stevens had no answers for the zone. And I think that's also a part of coaching. If another coach makes a certain adjustment, it is your job as a head coach to make another adjustment so your team can continue to execute offensively and defensively. In this case, Brad Stevens did not make the adjustment necessary for the Boston Celtics to execute offensively, and that's part of the reason why they got outscored by 20 points in the third quarter.
Yeah. Like the momentum shift in the third quarter, and you see it in the Boston Celtics act that they was playing lazy. And I said this before, though, Trey. The only way if Boston, they start losing in the series, they start having off games. And they basically, this was an off game. You first of all, you started off the game fired. Everybody hitting from all cylinders. And then once the second half came in place, you guys just went cold turkey. Like, there was nowhere to be found. Kemba Walker couldn't hit no shots. Tatum, he was 0 from 2 on the 3. And that right there, that's unacceptable. Unacceptable to a Boston team that literally was in the Eastern Conference Finals a couple years back with LeBron James. And that right there, I thought that would give them the boost because they've been in this situation. But Miami is definitely running away with this, man. They is running away with this. They're playing team ball. They're playing lights out basketball. Let's be honest. And they giving me vibes like they trying to sweep the Celtics. But
yeah, but I disagree with you about you saying that this was an off game for the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics, they shot 50% from the floor. The Miami Heat shot 44% from the floor. The Boston Celtics, they shot 36% from three-point range. The Miami Heat shot 33% from three-point range. The Boston Celtics out-rebounded the Miami Heat 51-42. So I think the Boston Celtics, actually played pretty well in this game. But watching game 2, Clarence, and watching even game 1, I just get the feeling that the Miami Heat wanted more right now. They just wanted more right now than the Boston Celtics. That doesn't mean the Boston Celtics aren't playing well. I just think Miami, they're a well-coached team, and this is a team that's a very balanced team as well. And I think they're a mentally tough basketball team. I think they're the mentally tougher team right now than the Boston Celtics. That doesn't mean the Boston Celtics are really playing bad. I just think Miami wants it more right now. That's why you see Miami executing better down the stretch in these close games. Because the first 2 games so far in this series, the Boston Celtics have had double-digit leads. I don't think they're necessarily playing bad, Clarence. That's just me.
They're not closing games out, though, Trey. I feel like they're not closing the game out when needed. And they blew a couple leads that shouldn't have been blew. But Miami is playing lights out. They're hustling. They're working very harder than the Celtics. They obviously got the better chemistry in them right now just because they know the rhythms of each player. And for the Boston Celtics, they can't close out games. That's something that they've been likely be having a problem with closing out games. And I think if that continue to be a problem, that's gonna hurt them in this next upcoming game.
Yeah, I think a microcosm of this series was those final 2 minutes when Jimmy Butler, got his hands on a few of those deflections, and it led to points on the other end for the Miami Heat. I think that was a microcosm of this entire series, Clarence, because Jimmy Butler, in that moment, he wanted it more than the Boston Celtics did. I feel like the Miami Heat players right now, they want it more than the Boston Celtics overall. Because you remember one of those deflections that he deflected the ball, saved it, and he got back down to the other end. There were 3 Miami Heat players down there right with him, and I think it was only Kemba Walker in the picture for the Boston Celtics. He was the only one that got back for the Celtics, and Miami was down there with 3 players. I think it was Jay Crowder, it was Jimmy Butler, and I might have been Dragic that was down there. I just get the feeling that right now Miami, they want it more, and they just executing offensively better right now than the Boston Celtics. In game 2, the Miami Heat had 27 assists. The Boston Celtics only had 19 assists. I think Boston right now, they're playing selfish basketball. It's a lot of one-on-one. I'm going to get mine. You can get yours on the next possession or the possession after this, but I'm going to get mine right now. The hell with ball movement. I think the Miami Heat are doing a better job right now with the ball movement between Gordon Dragic, Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, Jay Crowder, Jimmy Butler. Everyone is touching the basketball. Jimmy Butler, he goes stretches in games, Clarence, where he doesn't touch the basketball for over 6 or 7 minutes. Most stars, at some point, they have to get a touch, and they have to try to be put in a position to score. Like, that's not Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler can go a significant amount of time without scoring or without getting an opportunity to score. And I think that really, really speaks to the type of player that Jimmy Butler is, man. I can't say enough about, how great Jimmy Butler has done leading this Miami Heat team, Clarence. And right now, he has them in a position where they are 2 wins away for an NBA Finals appearance. So it's been very impressive, man. And I think we got to start thinking about elevating Jimmy Butler into that superstar conversation. We really, really do.
So who wins game 3? Who wins game 3 tomorrow night?
Listen, I am going to hold with my pick, and I'm staying with my pick. I think the Boston Celtics will win game 3. I picked the Celtics to get to the NBA Finals. I think they're going to win game 3. It's going to be a close matchup, but I think they're going to win game 3. This is a must-win for the Boston Celtics. And I do expect to see Gordon Hayward at some point in this series, Clarence. This will be the perfect time for Gordon Hayward to come back for the Celtics and give them some quality scoring and, help them in these late game situations when they're struggling to get into their offensive sets. I think that's part of the issue right now with the Boston Celtics. Kemba Walker, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, they're not executing offensively. Gordon Hayward, he's a veteran. He's been around for some time now. I think Gordon Hayward can help them execute better offensively.
Yeah. That was a great take from you. But unfortunately, Trey, man, I'm picking the Heat to win tomorrow, man. I think they're in the driver's seat right now. Jimmy Butler is playing with a lot of passion, and he honestly been the better player in this series. And believe it or not, I'm disappointed in Boston's play because they can't close out the games. But I think this Miami team, they're special, and they're doing something special right now. And earlier on the Wise Guys show, I called them out. Remember, we had that discussion who's a dark horse team, and we both said Miami.
Yeah.
And it seemed like a dream came true. Like this Miami team is making a push, and they're, like you said, they're 2 wins away from the NBA Finals. I think Miami they winning this game tomorrow, man.
I think the Miami Heat are on a mission. They are on a mission. Yeah. Make no mistake about it. Miami is on a mission, and they play hard, Clarence. Like I enjoy watching the Miami Heat play basketball because it's so unselfish. Like they have a balanced scoring attack. Like Kelly Olynyk can come in off the bench and give some quality minutes for Eric Spoelstra. Jay Crowder can hit the perimeter shot. Tyler Hero can hit the perimeter shot. Duncan Robinson, he was in a rhythm in the first half for the Miami Heat. Jimmy Butler is their closer, but for the most part, throughout the course of the game, whoever is the open man gets the shot for the Miami Heat. And you saw in that third quarter, Bam Adebayo, he had it going. So they was running a pick and roll with Dragic and Bam Adebayo. The Boston Celtics could not stop that Miami Heat pick and roll. They couldn't stop it. And so I think overall right now, the Miami Heat are looking like the better team, but I am going to stick with my prediction and the Boston Celtics somehow, some way, finding a way to win game 3 and make this a series. But if they lose tomorrow night, this series will be over in 4 games, and the Miami Heat probably are going to sweep the Boston Celtics. And you know what? That's crazy to me because I think Boston so talented. Like Boston is so talented. I think Boston is the more talented team. But again, the Miami Heat, they're the more hardworking team, and they're the more mentally tougher team right now.
And like you said, man, it doesn't matter who wins this game because these are 2 Titans clashing right now. So we're in store for a great series, Trey.
And one more thing before we move on, I want to say this, man. Like Eric Spoelstra, the job that he's doing leading this Miami Heat team, it's really sensational for real because you remember earlier in his career when he had LeBron, Bosh, D Wade, that team was built differently to this team. That team was built around stars and they had shooters, on that perimeter that helped them be effective. That team was built around the stars though, LeBron, D Wade, and Bosh. This team is not built that way, Clarence. They got one star in Jimmy Butler and maybe an all-star here and there and Bam Adebayo. He may improve, throughout the course of his career and get better. But for the most part, this Miami Heat team doesn't have a star-driven basketball team. They just got a lot of, great role players in Jay Crowder, great role players in, Kelly Olynyk, and even Derrick Jones Jr. came in last night and gave them some quality minutes on the defensive end. So this team is built much differently than that star-led team with LeBron James and D Wade. So it just speaks to the kind of coach that Eric Spoelstra is. No matter what kind of team he has, he can adjust as a head coach and get the best from his players. So, he's doing a great job leading this franchise right now as head coach for the Miami Heat.
Look, Trey, we in store for a great series tomorrow night. But we have another series that we want to break down, baby. We're going to switch it over to the West side. We're going to the Western Conference Finals, man. That is tonight after Wise Guys. These guys know sport. And y'all watching this on Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Make sure y'all tune in because this is a great show that we're producing. But the Denver Nuggets are in the Western Conference Finals since 2009 versus the number 1 seed Los Angeles Lakers. Now, this series right here is going to be a grind-to-gear series. in my opinion, I believe we in the store for another fun series. So Trey, please, sir, give me your keys to the series.
Well, the keys for me is going to be who is going to win the matchup between the Joker and the Lakers bigs. When I'm talking about the bigs, I'm talking about Anthony Davis, JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard. Who is going to win that matchup? Because if the Joker has his way in this series, which I don't anticipate happening, then the Denver Nuggets have a great chance of possibly upsetting the Lakers in this series. But unlike the Clippers, the Lakers have the personnel to slow down Joker. And, Anthony Davis, he's more athletic than a Joker could ever dream of being. So the Joker won't be able to, maneuver his way in that paint and be productive for the Denver Nuggets because Anthony Davis will have an answer for the Joker. Anthony Davis, was in the running for Defensive Player of the Year honors. Ultimately, Giannis ended up winning it, but Anthony Davis was a candidate to win Defensive Player of the Year honors. We know Dwight Howard, he's won a Defensive Player of the Year award in his career. JaVale McGee also is a player who can defend. So I think one of the keys is going to be who wins that matchup between the Joker and the Lakers' big man, Anthony Davis, JaVale McGee, and Dwight Howard. Another key for me is going to be, can the Lakers get quality production from their role players? KCP, Kuzma, Markieff Morris. Can they hit perimeter shots for the Lakers, to be successful in this series? That's one of the keys I'm looking for in this series as well, Clarence. Although we know the Lakers are led by LeBron James and Anthony Davis, we know they have the best duo in basketball. I believe the Lakers, in order to win the NBA championship, they need their role players like KCP, like Kuzma, like Morris, like Caruso, like Danny Green to hit their perimeter shots.
Rondo.
Every now and then, Rondo, he's very inconsistent. He's very inconsistent at hitting the perimeter shot, but he can hit it, every now and then. But my third key in this series is going to be Paul Millsap. I know I'm surprising some people bringing up Paul Millsap because we know the Nuggets are led by Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. But I think Paul Millsap in this series, Clarence, he can have a major impact for the Denver Nuggets. On the season, he only averaged, 12 points per game on 48% shooting from the floor. But I think Paul Millsap, being the veteran that he is, he has conference finals experience when he was going up against LeBron James in the Eastern Conference Finals. When the Atlanta Hawks was facing off against the Cleveland Cavaliers, in the Miami Heat. So I think he has the experience, in the conference finals that he can make an impact. I like Paul Millsap to have an impact on this series. And you remember in Game 5, I believe, against the Clippers, it was Paul Millsap that helped the Denver Nuggets come back from a double-digit lead in the second half. So Paul Millsap had a key game in that series against the Clippers where he stepped up and he made some plays for the Denver Nuggets. If the Denver Nuggets want to have any chance of upsetting the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals, they need their veteran leader in Paul Millsap to step up in this series and make a significant impact.
I agree with you right there. I think it's gonna be a very interesting matchup. But I got two keys to the series for both ends. I mean, one in each. I think for the Denver Nuggets, you have to find a mismatch during each game because now you playing with size advantage on the team now, and I can definitely see LA throwing a lot of bigs at Jokic because he can play the post and he can shoot the ball, and that's something that the Denver Nuggets gonna have to figure out what to do with Jokic because is he gonna rely on the three or is he gonna work his way down there in the basket? I hope they don't throw a lot of bigs at him. Can he neutralize that? Is he gonna get players involved? How can he adjust to this play style that the Los Angeles Lakers are coming into? And another thing, can Jamal Murray be the same Jamal Murray as he was in the Utah series and the Clippers? I think they're going to need that Jamal Murray more than anything. And this big moment right here, this is one of their biggest moments of their careers. Knocking off the Los Angeles Lakers and playing against the great LeBron James. This is something that they're thinking right now, like, can we beat this great LeBron James in a playoff series? Now, I think for LA, I think for this is it's tricky though because Denver has a lot of bigs on their sides that can defend, as versatile defend, and they're tall.
Yeah.
They're sizable and they're versatile, and they can 3-point shoot and defend. Now I was thinking, can LA find another way to score and beat Denver at their own game? You see how they beat Houston at their own game. Can they beat Denver at their home game? Like, have a big man solidify Jokic, watch over him, and maybe throw an AD at him. Can AD find his shot there? Can LeBron James and Anthony Davis get a rhythm in there?
Yeah, and another thing, too, in this series, you mentioned it a little bit earlier. Jamal Murray, can he be effective on the pick and roll for the Denver Nuggets? Because we know the Lakers defensively, when they amp it up, they are the best defensive team in basketball, right along with the Miami Heat. And they are the best defensive team in the NBA. Because if you remember, coming into the Blazers series, Damian Lillard was hot. He had just won NBA bubble MVP. He had led the Blazers to the playoffs. He had it going. But once he got in the series with the Lakers, and the Lakers defensively, when they amped it up, it was hard for my man Damian Lillard to score. Even James Harden in the second round, he had games where he struggled to score the basketball. So the Lakers, they do a great job defensively at limiting, the opposing team's best ball handler from being able to score. Like these point guards, they struggle to score the basketball, against these Lakers bigs. So that's one of the keys I'm looking forward to seeing as well in this series. Can Jamal Murray be effective as he was in the first two rounds against the Jazz and the Clippers? But this Denver Nuggets team, they're a resilient bunch. They were the first team to come back from a back-to-back 3-1 deficit in the same postseason. So Mike Malone's group, they're not going to back down to the Lakers, Clarence. Make no mistake about it. They're going to show up, and the Lakers are going to have to beat the Denver Nuggets. I think the Lakers, as they watched the Clippers collapse in the second round, I think the Lakers took notes, and they're going to take the Denver Nuggets very serious in this Western Conference Finals. I think because of the way the Nuggets came back on the Clippers, I think LeBron James and Anthony Davis, they were taking notes and watching and saying, we can't let this team stick around in games, because they've shown an ability to come back from double-digit leads, even if it's in the second half. So I think LeBron James and Anthony Davis will be locked in game one tonight against the Denver Nuggets, and I believe the Los Angeles Lakers will take care of business.
So you already basically gave me an answer of who's winning game one tonight.
Well, let me say this real quick tonight on Wise Guys on the Worldwide Sports Network. Let me go ahead and put it out there, Clarence. I got the Lakers winning this series. I think it's going to probably go 5 games. I got enough respect for the Denver Nuggets and head coach Mike Malone and Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic to give the Nuggets 1 game. I think the Nuggets, to have a chance at even winning 1 game, they have to win game 1. If they lose game 1, it's a chance they might get swept. But I'm going to pick the Lakers to beat the Nuggets in 5 games. And not only that, Clarence, tonight I am about to give you my prediction. I have LeBron James winning his 4th championship. Like, it's over. I am conceding. I'm throwing in the towel. All you LeBron fans out there, it is over. LeBron is still the best player in the world. LeBron James is going to win his 4th NBA championship. I'm going to congratulate him tonight on Wise Guys. It's over. Like, it's done. The Clippers completely ruined my prediction, and they ruined my entire NBA Finals prediction between the Clippers and the Celtics. And one more thing, Chris, I want to say. I've always said that I think Kobe, RIP to the Black Mamba, and MJ are better than LeBron James. But LeBron James just creeped his way into that GOAT conversation, in my opinion, because he's about to win his 4th championship, Clarence. It is about to happen. You can book it.
Oh, my God, man. Hey, we is definitely going to be tuned in this game tonight, man.
It's over. It's over.
All right, hey, now let's get to the fun part, man. Let's definitely get to the fun part, man. All right, Wise Guy.
What's your prediction?
I try to be nice, but I honestly believe that, it's going to come down to like in 5 games. The Nuggets gave it all they want, and the odds is basically against them. And if they don't win at least one game, I don't care what game it is, game 1 through 5. If they don't win at least one of those games, then it's a general sweep. If they go down 2, I'm going to start booking a sweep.
But the thing is, though, Mike Malone and the Denver Nuggets, even though they're going to lose this series, they overachieved this season. They have nothing to be ashamed of. Nothing. Like, the Clippers were the ones who underachieved. The Nuggets overachieved because all year long, Clarence, we talked about the Battle of LA in the Western Conference Finals between the Clippers and the Lakers. And the Nuggets, all they did was fly under the radar all season long. Like, they just relaxed. They chilled all season long. And they heard the talks about us locking in that Clippers-Lakers matchup, and Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic, they played with motivation in that second round series against the Clippers. You've seen they were motivated, and I think they played with a chip on their shoulder, and that's the reason why they're in the Western Conference Finals. But all great things do come to an end, and they have nothing to be ashamed of. They overachieved this season. This will be a building block for Mike Malone and his group moving forward.
I agree with you, man. They better be a moving block. They better not lose no first and second round.
Yeah. Let's move on. Let's talk some NFL, Clarence. Let's get to our week 2 wise picks. Let's move through these real quick. First game, Giants versus the Chicago Bears. Who you got? Give me a score.
Yeah, I think Chicago go run away with this one because Saquon Barkley struggled, and I see Chicago going 2-0. Mitchell Trubisky look good, and he plays better against worse defense as it is. But I got Chicago winning 28-14.
28-14. Okay, you got Chicago blowing the Bears out. I'm going to roll with the Giants to win this game, actually. I think Saquon Barkley is going to have a better game in week 2 than he had in week 1. I think I read a stat where I think Big Ben had more rushing yards than Saquon Barkley. Joe Judge, you had to get it together. You got to get it together. There's no way in hell that you have Saquon Barkley on your team and he has less than 20 yards rushing in any particular football game. Hell, Saquon Barkley can get you over 50 yards on one carry. That's inexcusable. I expect the Giants to bounce back in week 2 against the Bears. I got the Giants beating the Chicago Bears.
What score? What's your prediction score?
I'll say 2017 Giants.
All right. San Francisco Giants, they're on the road against the New York Jets. Now, listen to this. George Kittle has been declared out of this game. So this might be a tricky game, Dre. Who you got winning this game?
It ain't tricky for me. I'm picking the San Francisco 49ers to beat the Jets. I think they're going to win, I'll say 27-14. I don't believe in the Jets. I don't believe in Adam Gase. I got the 49ers beating the Jets, on Sunday, 27-14. That's what I got.
And Le'Veon Bell is on injured reserve. Let's keep it at that. But I got the 49ers win it big, though. I got them. Their defense is going to be too much for Sam Darnold. I say like 35-10 in a fashion beating.
Okay. Falcons, Cowboys. Who you got?
See, this is the one I wanted to break down. But this game right here, it comes down to Dak Prescott. Can you lead us to a W? Can you lead us, be a great leader? But I'm rolling with the Cowboys right here because the Falcons defense is struggling, and I think Zeke is going to pound the rock. And I believe this is going to be a high-scoring game. I got the Cowboys winning 45-42.
45-42. So you got it close.
Yeah.
Okay. I got it a little bit different. I got the Falcons with the upset, 24-17 over the Dallas Cowboys. I think Matty Ice and Todd Gurley are going to play well in this game. And I think the Cowboys are going to struggle to get into a rhythm, offensively. And I think defensively, they're going to get exposed by this Falcons offense. I think Julio Jones is going to have a big day in week 2 for the Falcons. I think they're going to win this game 24-17. Let's move on. Jacksonville Jaguars, Tennessee Titans. Who you got?
I'm actually taking the upset here. I'm taking the Jacksonville Jaguars against Tennessee because I love Gardner Minshew. I love the way he plays. He plays with calm energy. And believe it or not, if he can have a good season, he can actually be the franchise quarterback. Him and Jay Gruden, they're fitting right just great. I got the Jags winning this one, 24-20.
I got the Titans winning this game. I think Derrick Henry is going to impose his will on that Jacksonville Jaguars defense. I think it'll be a close one, though. I got Titans 21, Jaguars 17. Let's move on to the Minnesota Vikings and an Indianapolis Colts. Who you got?
I'm taking the Vikings, man. I like the way Kirk Cousins do the play action, and him and Adam Thielen, they about to get it rolling, man. And this Colts team, they still trying to figure out their identity. I got the Vikings winning this one, 27-24.
27-24. Okay. I'm going to roll with the Colts to get the win at home. I think Phillip Rivers played pretty well in week 1, even though the Colts lost against the Jaguars. I think the Colts are going to get the victory here. I think Phillip Rivers will outperform Kirk Cousins. I have the Colts beating the Minnesota Vikings. I say 24-20.
Bills, okay. Bills, Dolphins. Who you got winning that one?
The Buffalo Bills are going to beat the Dolphins. I think the Buffalo Bills are the more complete team right now, and I think they are going to build off of their week 1, win over the Jets. I think the Buffalo Bills are just a better team overall right now than the Dolphins. The Dolphins are on the come up, but they're just not ready yet for the Buffalo Bills. I got Buffalo winning 17-14.
Man, I got the Bills winning too. I think Josh Allen going to be too much for this Dolphins offense. Even though Miami's going to be at home, I think Josh Allen's going to be too much. And Ryan Fitzpatrick have a bad turnover game. All hell Tua. Give him the hell. I got Buffalo winning 31-17.
This is a big-time game right here, actually. The Rams traveling to the city of brotherly love, taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. Who you got, Rams or Eagles?
I actually got the L.A. Rams in this game because I like how believe it or not, Aaron Donald in 3 career games, he never had a sack against Carson Wentz in 3 career games. So I think this is going to be his first time ever. First time in his career against the Eagles, he going to get his sack against that team. And I think they looked good on defense as well. They covered, and they was very aggressive. I got the Rams winning this game, man, 28-21.
Okay, I'm going to roll with the Philadelphia Eagles to win this game because I think Carson Wentz needs to redeem himself from that meltdown that took place, in the Chocolate City in Washington. So I think the Philadelphia Eagles will win this game 30-24, and I think Carson Wentz is going to outplay Jared Goff, in Sunday's matchup between these two teams. I got the Eagles over the Rams. Let's move on. Let's talk about the Denver Broncos and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Who you got?
Even though I hate the Steelers, I got the Steelers winning this game. Their defense is too much. Big Ben is coming into his rhythm. I think Big Ben gonna put up a lot of points on this young Broncos team because they're missing their core leader in Von Miller. I think Big Ben's gonna have a big game. I see him winning 45-21.
I agree with you, but I don't agree with your score. I got the Steelers winning 24-10. I don't see the Broncos scoring that many points against this elite Pittsburgh Steelers defense. I think Big Ben will play well in this game. I got the Steelers winning 24-10 and taking care of business at home. Let's move on to the Carolina Panthers traveling down south to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady. Brady looking for his first win clearance. Does he win his first game as a Buccaneer against the Panthers?
Yes. I think he's going to win his first game as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer because his Panthers defense is not the best. It's actually one of the worst in the NFL. And I think Brady is going to have a big, big monster game. Even though Chris Godwin is still under concussion protocol, I think Brady's going to go find a rhythm and find a way to win this game. I got him winning this game 35-17.
35-17. I got the Bucs winning this game 27-17. I think this will be a close game early on, but I think Brady and the Bucs will pull away as we get late in the fourth quarter. I got the Bucs winning 27-17 by 10 points over Teddy Bridgewater and the Panthers. Let's move on to the Washington football team and the Arizona Cardinals. Who you got?
I got the Cardinals win this game. Kyler Murray is unstoppable. And regardless, it's going to be a good matchup to see how he going to play against Chase Young. So that's going to be very interesting to watch. But I got the Cardinals winning this game 31 to actually a 31-23 close game.
Okay. You gave the Washington football team some points. I would take the Cardinals to win 28-24. I think Dwayne Haskins will play well, but I think in the end, Kyler Murray is going to show why right now he is leaps and bounds better than Dwayne Haskins. I like Dwayne Haskins, though. I think he has a lot of promise, but I think Kyler Murray is the better quarterback right now, and I think DeAndre Hopkins is going to play well, in this matchup. I don't think the Washington football team secondary have any answers for DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins actually balled out last week against the 49ers. They got one of the best defenses we have in the NFL. So imagine what he's going to do this week against the Washington football team. I got the Cardinals 28-24.
Yeah. All right. Let's go fast real quick. Ravens, Texas. Who you got?
Woo! It's a big one right here, actually. I think the Texans will compete in this game, but I think Lamar Jackson and the Ravens will be too much for the Texans to overcome. I'm going to pick the Baltimore Ravens to beat the Houston Texans 31-24.
Yeah, I got the Ravens winning that game. It's going to be too much for the Texans. The defense is not fit for Lamar Jackson advantage, and I think Lamar is going to destroy this team. I got them winning 35-28.
If the Texans somehow, some way pull off the upset, though, this will be a very, very impressive win for the Texans, and it'll be a signature win for them as we continue this entire season. I think it's one of those wins you'll look back and say, hey, that was a game they needed, but we both rolling with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. Chiefs, Chargers, who you got?
I got the Chiefs. I got the Chiefs winning. Believe it or not, the Chargers do play harder against the Chiefs, but I got the Chiefs winning this game. Patrick Mahomes, he's back to his self, and it's gonna be too much for this Chiefs team. I got them winning 42-21.
42-21. I'm rolling with the Chiefs to win this game as well. Not much to talk about here. I got Chiefs 35, and I got Tyrod Taylor 17. Let's move on. Let's talk about the Patriots traveling west to take on Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks, the Sunday night football matchup. Who you got?
I got the Seahawks winning this game. I think Russell Wilson at home and at primetime, 16-3 in the primetime games. I think he's unbeatable in the primetime. And I truly believe that Cam Newton is going to play good, but Russell Wilson is going to outdo him. And I disagree when Bill Belichick said Russell Wilson is an underrated player. Nah, he's been around for a long time. Show some respect, man. I got them winning a tight one, 31-28.
Oh, you got it close. You giving Cam 28 points. I like that. I'm going to roll with the Seattle Seahawks to beat the New England Patriots. I think Russell Wilson will play well in this game, and I think he's going to expose that Patriots secondary. They got some pieces missing in that secondary. A lot of players opted out on the defensive side of the ball for the Patriots. Hightower and Chung. I think it's going to show in the game of this magnitude, going up against an elite passer like Russell Wilson. I got the Seahawks winning 27-20 over the New England Patriots, but I think Cam will play well.
Yeah, I think he's gonna play well. He gonna throw a few touchdowns and run for one, actually.
Saints, Raiders, what you got?
I'm pulling with the Raiders on this one, man. They in their new stadium. I love Josh Jacobs. I love the way how he plays, and believe it or not, the Saints is loaded on both sides of the ball, but Michael Thomas is out with several weeks, and I think that's gonna take a blow to their team. But I got the Raiders winning at home and in their new stadium. I got them winning in a close one, 38-35. I think it's gonna be a mean shootout when it comes down to the wire.
Wow, is this your upset pick of the week?
Yep. This is my upset of the week. The Las Vegas Raiders upset the New Orleans Saints.
I don't see it happening. I'm gonna roll with Drew Brees and the Saints to get the job done. I think they're gonna spoil that this being the first game played at the Raiders' new stadium. I think the Saints are going to beat the Raiders 34-24, but I do believe that, Gruden and his team will be competitive. I just think Drew Brees and the Saints will be too much for them to handle, in this matchup. Last but not least, the Detroit Lions are coming to Lambeau to take on my quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, and the Packers. Who you got? Give me a score.
Do I really got to give you a score, man?
Give me a score. Look,
I got Green Bay winning this game. I think Detroit, Aaron Rodgers is going to be too much for them. Aaron Jones, it's going to be an Aaron show. Aaron and Aaron. I think if Aaron Rodgers get it going, him and Devontae Adams, man, they're gonna be dangerous. And with Aaron Jones, but I think this game is probably gonna be another beating, probably worse than what they gave Minnesota. I got them winning this one 45-17, man. I think it's gonna be not even 45-17, my bad. I think this gonna be like 31-20. I think Detroit can put up numbers, but they can't close out games.
Okay. I got my Packers beating the Detroit Lions 35-24. I think Aaron Rodgers and that Packers offense, that momentum that they had in week 1 against the Minnesota Vikings, it will carry over to week 2 against the Detroit Lions. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to put on a clinic, and I think he's going to play elite football at the quarterback position and show why he is universally recognized to being a top 5 quarterback in the NFL and why he deserves to be in that NFL MVP conversation this year. He is not slowing down, Clarence. I think Davante Adams, the best receiver in the NFL. I think he's going to have a great game in week 2. I don't think that Lions secondary can keep up with Davante. I got my Packers 35, Detroit 24.
Yeah, it's going to be some good games to watch, man.
Everybody, remember, go and follow Wise Guys on Twitter at WiseGuys_H. Also on Facebook, Wise Guys. And be sure to follow Wise Guys on Instagram at These Guys Know Sports. It's time for the Western Conference Finals between the Denver Nuggets and the Lakers. I'm about to sign off, Clarence. Go watch that. You have a great weekend, bro. I'll see you Monday night.
Yes, sir.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.